What were some of the lessons that you learned over time in building the organization, particularly with the team?
The number one thing that is important in a law firm is culture, just like a team, just like a locker room. If you have people that are committed to the goals of the firm and create that culture, you're going to do fine. But if you have people, we used to call in football, the coach say, guys that have shit in their nose and they got a runny nose and they're in the locker room and they're changing, and the next guy next to them, they're not playing, or in a law firm, they're not getting the good cases. Then they start complaining and he starts giving it to him. And it's going around the locker room unless you have leadership and leaders and a culture that's defined, that's going to, permeate in your law firm. So I think number one is the culture and defining who you are and what you want to be. And for us, our culture is we're going to get the best results for the clients. We're going to do the best work. We're going to try the case if they're not going to pay what's fair and reasonable for the client. And we're going to continue to do a great job and build our brand and our reputation and continue to get better. And if you do that, you're going to be successful. But if people don't want to work here, then I'm the first one to tell them, hey, if this ain't working out for you, go ahead. The coach, you go complain to the coach and say, I'm not playing. They're like, well, maybe you should do something about it or go to another team. And you see that in college football with this portal now. You get these 19-year-old kids, they go to the school, all of a sudden the other guy beats them out. Tomorrow they leave. I mean, that's not the culture you want to establish. And you see that in college athletics now, big time.
And speaking of culture, I mean, as you've described yours, I imagine there's a lot of people who are going to listen to this podcast and say, I want that same culture at my law firm. But what are some of the decisions that you're making, whether it's, certain non-negotiables, certain things that you do not tolerate, whether it's certain types of people that you hire, or certain people that you have to exit from the firm, that ensure that culture stays what it is?
Well, I think number one, they have to be dedicated to the practice and the clients, and they got to know about the cases. They got to work hard, but they got to know that it's not about them. It's always about the client, and it's the client comes first. It's not about them getting a big verdict or getting the headlines. It's about doing the right thing for the client. And if you keep that in mind, you're always right. It's when you stray from that and you want to get a bigger verdict and you don't want to settle, or you do whatever it takes to get out there in the media. Sometimes it's not advisable to go out of the media. It's not always a good thing, but people are more into themselves. This Tim, you can ask Tim Grover about this. Lying to oneself is another one of his factors or themes, where people are so busy out there in the social media or puffing up what they've done versus spending the time to go out and do it and accomplish it themselves. And that lying to oneself. And that's one of his big things that he talks about.